So I was recently asked by a customer I just sold a Mark 7 to what one accessory would be important for him to build furniture. Without a doubt, it's got to be one of the most underrated tools, and that's the joiner. And I use this piece I made a while back as a good example. I use the joiner to flatten the surface of all the pieces that make up the tabletop itself. Of course, I jointed the edges, so when I put them all together, there's an absolute seamless joint. And I even used the joiner to make these tapered legs. So let me show you a little bit about the joiner and see what you think. So let's go ahead and couple the joiner up to the Power Pro headstock. And this is very important. You should never have to be fighting joining headstock to any accessory. It should slide right in. Look at this. Can you see that real close? I want you to make sure you know what a perfectly aligned accessory is. So let me get a nice close-up of this. Hang on, you guys. Watch how effortlessly I'm not even touching the coupler, slides right into the headstock. That's alignment. So make sure not just your joiner, but all your accessories are aligned to your headstock. I might mention also that the joiner is one of the two accessories that uses the lower hub. That's because the lower hub is running 1.5 times faster than the upper hub. The advantage as far as the joiner goes, that means you can run the joiner and your table saw simultaneously. So you're qualifying your lumber the right way, where you joint, rip, joint. Before we get going, we need to talk also about some safety issues. You need to know the danger zones on all your tools, especially the joiner. On a joiner, number one safety zone, you got 8 feet behind you. That's a danger zone. If that thing kicks back, it's going to come back with a lot of force because this is using a lot of torque. All right? Then anytime your hands are within 3 inches, that's too close. 3 inches in front of the knives, 3 inches behind the knives. What's very unique on the Shopsmith, if you take a good close look, they actually engineered these little hubs, or bumps, I guess you'd say. You never want your hands inside this area here. That's danger zone as well. Keep that in mind and use it. Let me also add that it is not recommended to joint anything shorter than 8 inches or less than a 1/2 inch thick. Just not safe. And this is really important. Never take more than 1/8 of an inch off in a single pass. Yes, there's occasional times where you're going to take a little bit more off, but the rule of thumb is never take more than 1/8 of an inch off in one single pass. Very, very important. So let's come around here and take a look at the Power Pro control pad. This is where this thing really, really shines when you get into special operations. I'm going to go to the joiner. So now it's asking me how thick, or in some cases how wide I'm doing. I'm doing about 2 inches to start out with. Piece of softwood, sets it at 3,500 RPM. If you will follow what the Power Pro has built in for you, those speeds are pretty much dead on. You can, of course, adjust the speed in 10 RPM increments if needed. Those cases are going to be determined by the hardness of your wood, 3,500. So I'm going to surface this board here, make sure it's nice and flat. When I'm surfacing, I don't take more than a 32nd of an inch off. So when I'm starting out, I just like to take a pencil, put a little mark on my material. This is definitely a good use for your push block. Dust collection always, very efficient dust collection port. Again, if you do not have either the improved featherboard guard, upper guard, and the dust port, because you have an older joiner, those are available. You can add them to your current machines. Dust collector, 32nd of an inch. So now we got a nice flat flush surface, and at the same time it's almost a no sand surface. Same thing when you just straighten the edge of a board. So you got that one true edge. Make sure you use your safety gear. Did you notice I moved my left hand out of that danger zone? Out of the area of those two nubs? There, I did it again. Get in the habit of doing that. Stay safe. Nice straight edge, but what I didn't do and should have was adjust my feather board. So it's held. I noticed it was kind of moving around on me. Just bring that, can you see that good? Bring that feather board in, nice and tight, give it a little push. Bring that around, lock it. Look at that, now it can't go anywhere. It's holding that really, really firm for me. All I got to do then, I don't have to hold it up against the fence, it's already being held by this. I just feed. That's the right way to do it. Shopsmith joiner also has what's called a rabbiting ledge. Got perfect rabbets, any size you want. So I'm going to set this to do a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch rabbet. Just set it with a ruler. There's a 1/4 by 1/4 inch rabbet. Reverse directions. Look what you end up with. Tongue for tongue and groove. This is a perfect example of how you can run your jointer and table saw simultaneously. Here, I'm cutting my tongues on the jointer. After I cut the tongue, I can immediately take it right over to my dado cutter, which I had previously set up to cut the groove. Do enough of these. Not only can you make beautiful flat flush surfaces for tabletops and what have you, you cut enough pieces, you can even make yourself your own tongue and groove flooring. That's doing it the right way. Another nice feature about the Shopsmith joiner is the fence allows you to tilt it either open, they call this, or closed. You always want to use it closed as often as possible because it's the safest way. And what I'm going to show you here, let's say we wanted to do a 30-degree chamfer. I just set the fence at 30 degrees. On a lot of standard joiners, of course, you still got to have pressure on your fence. Let me raise this up a little bit. You can take 1/8 inch passes again. But if you have pressure on the fence, if something goes haywire, see what's happening here? The actions for your hands is in toward the knives. That's not good. The Shopsmith joiner allows you to do the same 30 degrees, but closed. Still going to need pressure up against the fence, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm pushing up. You still set your feather guard. That's going to help you hold that too. And you feed it through like that. Way, way safer. Very little pressure needed. Just push it through with a stick. Let's do it. Dust collector. One 1/8 inch pass. You notice how my hands are never in the danger zone. I'll tell you, the end result, pretty spectacular. Can you see that real close? Nice, clean, smooth, dead-on precision. So what I'm going to show you next is how to make tapered legs. The technique that I show you, I've been using for years and years and years for all the furniture that I've made. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I think you'll appreciate the ease and the outcome. So the simplest way to do a taper on your jointer is set yourself up a stop block that you're clamping to the far edge end of your, turn that way around the other way, of your jointer fence. Then we'll take our material. I'm going to simply lower it down into the cutter and make several passes. Again, I'm not taking more than 1/8 of an inch off in a single pass. For tapered legs, that means you got to count all the passes on all the sides that you're cutting. Here we go. One side. Two sides. Three sides. And the fourth side. And we'll do it all over again. Well, yes, depending on how dramatic of a taper, you can take several passes to get to where you want to be. But I think it's well worth the effort. But you might want to notice the real advantage of using the jointer to do this. It's a finish-ready surface. Well, I hope you enjoyed this brief demonstration on the jointer. It may have swayed even some of you into considering getting yourself one. If you want to do that, probably want to get a hold of me at the email address you see on your screen there, myoung@shopsmith.com. I can probably set you up with one at a better than factory price. In the meantime, I'm Mike Young, and this is today's Shopsmith.